everybody, and welcome along to this rounds 5 and 6 of the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. What a race, a couple of races we have in store for you here today. We're here at Thruxton for the first time ever in championship history. My name's Paul Smith. David Addison, unfortunately, isn't here to join us, but instead, stepping into his boots is Connery Maddock. Connery, great to have you back in the series.
Those are some very big boots to fill, but yes, it's great to be back here at a new circuit, not only for this series, but one of the most recent circuits here at iRacing as well. It's going to be a fun time out there, and I can't wait to get cracking.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting round here in the championship. Let's just take you through the format of how things happen. So in about a minute's time, the drivers will be taking to qualifying for 10 minutes. Then at the end of that 10 minutes, race 1 will get us underway with 25-minute race. They then have a little bit of a break, 3-minute warm-up, just to get everything set for race number 2. And new for this season, if you haven't joined us so far this season, well, where have you been? But the top 8 now is inverted for the reverse grid. Previously it was the top 6. Points, well, the point structure is slightly different for race 1 in Pro, because that's your more sort of natural starting order here in this race. So 12 points for the win, 10 and 8 for the top 3. For race 2 for Pro and for both races in AM, the point structure is 10, 8 and 6 and so on. 2 points for pole position in each class as well here. And as I say, rounds 5 and 6 taking place here at Thruxton, the newest venue here in Hampshire on iRacing, and certainly going to be an intriguing round nonetheless. Alton Park will take us in a couple of weeks' time. That's my personal favourite track. Zandvoort is our flyaway race before we then go to Croft, Donington Park and Brands Hatch to finish off the season. And well, it is quite close at the top of Pro standings. Just 3 points separate Sebastian Job and Luke McEwen, who have had ding-dong battles throughout this season so far. Will Chadwick, he's not out of it yet. He's only 11 points off of Sebastian here in 3rd place, with Leo Gariboli, former AM champion, there in 4th, ahead of Gareth Higgins, Pete Berryman, David Williams, Matt Caruana, Crofton Woodhatch and Matt Emery rounding out the top 10 in Pro. In AM, well, it's a little bit more open in that Christian Zaruta had a really good round last time out at Snetterton in the mixed conditions. He has got an 8-point lead over Aidan Walsingham, who has had a race win at Silverstone. And, well, further on, Guy Edwards, new race winner in AM. For him, he won the first race last time out at Snetterton with Scott Merckx not that far behind him. Tom Stevens, again, a couple of points back for him. Daniel Cofield, Conan Wern, Jakub Erzgunchek with Sam Fitzpatrick and Adam Cox rounding out your 10 drivers. Well, Connery, we've got 10 minutes of open qualifying. We remind everyone each time that because it is heat racing, as soon as the clock strikes 0, that's the end of the qualifying. It's open qualifying as well. With a high-speed track like this, how important is it for people like Leo Gariboli to get themselves a bit of a slipstream?
Well, I mean, it is a short lap time, but like you said, a lot of that lap time is at 100% throttle around this circuit. So you've got to find that grouping of cars to sit in. Even if it's just 1, maybe even 2 cars running around as a pack, obviously it's going to make you go much faster around here. But the only thing is, the only little caveat is, you probably don't necessarily want to be the one at the very front of that pack trying to lead them round. So you might do that as a bit of a favour a couple of times, but you do have to think about your own lap time sometimes and maybe try to work with your teammates to try and figure out any particular order if you do have teammates out there.
Yeah, that's it. You are going to have that mix of drivers out there who maybe don't have teammates. Isaac Price being one of those, working the wheel, trying to get some temperature into his tyres. And remember, fixed setup for these drivers, so that means that they do not get the luxury of putting on a qualifying setup and going hell for leather here. They've got to get the fuel load down as well to get the weight of the car reduced.
They do, especially helpful around here. 71. That's Sam Fitzpatrick heading his way through and around. I'm always fascinated by how these sim racers race in the dark. It can't be good for their retinas with that bright screen.
That will be down at the Apex Racing Team HQ as well in Corby. So I suppose some people it'll be sort of more focusing for them. There's Aidan Walsingham, of course, one of our championship contenders in AM, and you can see how much the rig is moving about there. I don't think he's got any of the sort of the movement in the rig. That's just all from his steering wheel, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it's I like the wrap around screens as well. That's pretty cool to see, giving you a little bit more peripheral vision than you would if you had a sort of a flatter setup of the triple screens there, so you can see any car that's sort of directly next to you as if looking out the door window. But with number 90 Aidan Walsingham. He's currently trying to get tucked up behind Luke McEwen, and well, if there's one driver in this series that you want to get tucked up behind here in qualifying, that is probably one of the better ones, as he does get himself up into first place in terms of the AM qualifying order here at the moment. P4 overall, which is actually not too bad, considering that, well, this, well, he is an AM driver after all, mixing it in with the pros.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where if you can find the rhythm of the track and you can really hook it up, you can really get yourself some time. It is a tricky track. It's a track that's going to abuse the tyres as well, the left side tyres of these cars, mainly the left rear for these vehicles in particular, with the engine being over the rear. But look at that, through Church, absolutely on the limit of adhesion, flying through there, and then uphill into the club chicane goes Alexander Davidson. Davidson's had a challenging start to the season. He wasn't there last time out at Snetterton. I believe that actually he was out at Daytona International Speedway for the Rolex 24. So he's only had a 12th and a 7th at Silverstone so far, but second place in qualifying, going well for him.
Not bad at all. We know the capabilities of Alexander Davidson. He's, you know, a very, very quick competitor, not only in this series, but also in others that we commentate and he competes in, always one of the front runners. I'm having a look down the qualifying order at the moment, which is something that's standing out to me. Sebastian Job unable to get himself a competitive lap time here at the moment. He's about 1.4 seconds off of the race leader, and he's, or rather the provisional pole sitter. He's dealing with a little bit of traffic right now through this long right-hander. He doesn't have a drafting partner either, which just makes things worse.
Well, Sebastian, let's not forget, yesterday, all this week has been aiming towards the Porsche Esports Super Cup. He won the main race yesterday at Mugello. So he's not had a lot of time to then jump onto this track and get practice in. So that could really be a detriment for him. Luke McEwen was the same though. He was in the same seat for Luke. He was racing as well in that. Sebastian Job still not on the pace. Me and David, well, I say not on the pace, he's got up to 4. Me and David mentioned this last time out at Snetterton. He wasn't on pole position, and then right at the end of qualifying, bang, got it on pole position.
He likes keeping us in suspense, I suppose. As we're running on board here with Leo Garibaldi. Number 89 doing very well, 0.2 of a second off of the provisional pole sitting time here at the moment. And Garibaldi, of course, has been one of the mainstays of this well, championship, I suppose. We've seen his name slowly climb up the order, shall we say, and looking to try and make a good go of it this year. But in terms of his finishes, 2 podium finishes this season so far, not looking too bad for Garibaldi, and he looks like he's on course to get another one if his race pace is as good as his qualifying.
Yep, across the line again for Garibaldi. Not an improvement that lap for him. Now, time is running out for a few of our drivers. I don't think Will Chadwick is on a particularly hot lap right now. Maybe setting himself up for another lap. The problem that you get is the traffic at the club chicane can really catch you out, as David Williams was getting out of the way there. We've got a car stopped on the side of the track. That was Oliver Etheridge, right on the exit of the final corner. This is going to be basically Will Chadwick's last opportunity, because you're looking at around about a 1:09 lap. I don't think he'll have enough time to then do another lap after this one.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that the timings will really work out in his favor here, but we'll watch him head his way along. We've further down the road, you got Tom Stevens, Guy Edwards, a couple of AM drivers that are all sort of in that second half of the AM field here, as we once again ride on board with Leo Garibaldi as he heads his way across the start-finish line now. Second place in the qualifying order at the moment. What sort of time is he going to set across the line? It is going to be no improvements for Leo Garibaldi. Peter Berryman still in that provisional pole position, which you know, he's got by quite a margin when you consider how quick the lap times are around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, this would be a great result for Peter, because he's not had the best of season so far. Will Chadwick abusing the track limits there by some margin across the line, a 1:09.381. That does keep him in 5th place as things stand. Berryman back to pit road. Here's Gareth Higgins then, a little bit down the order, 12th overall, 11th in class. We've still got Aidan Walsingham on provisional pole position in AM, and do remember, it's bonus points for pole position here of 2 points. Kane Halliburton and Gareth Higgins both moving up the field into 5th and 6th place. That's good for them. Here's Crofton Woodhatch across the line in his WSR Esports butt kicker car. And now Jacob Tofts, one of the real world racers, he's coming across the line now to finish his qualifying. The times are coming, but less and less opportunities for people. Sebastian Job about to finish his final lap. And will he improve his time? The answer is no.
He was on a good one, but not good enough for Sebastian Job. Here comes Will Chadwick now coming through the final corner. Time has expired. Does he get to the line? No, he does not get there. Does not improve on 7th place.
So then, let's take you through your starting grid then for round number 5 of the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain, and it's a first pole of the season for Peter Berryman in the Apex Racing Team car. Alongside him is Leo Garibaldi in the Apex Racing Academy car, so interested to see how they can work together. Alex Davidson and Sebastian Job share row number 2, with Kane Halliburton and Gareth Higgins row number 3. Great result for Halliburton, considering the difficulties he had at Snetterton. Will Chadwick and Luke McEwen then on row number 4, with the 5th row shared by Isaac Price and Crofton Woodhatch, with Matt Caruana and Charles Rainford then on row number 6. 7th row of the grid for Aidan Walsingham, your top AM in qualifying, so he takes another pole position in his AM championship. Luke Pennington alongside him, last year's AM champion. Jacob Tofts and David Williams then sharing row number 8, with the 9th row of Eric Grove and Dylan Platt. Row number 10 then for Christian Giruta and Scott Merckx, with Adam Cox and Sam Fitzpatrick then on row number 11. Row 12 for Tom Stevens and Daniel Cofield. The final few cars here on the grid: Oliver Etheridge and Conan Wern rounding out row number 13, and row 14 Guy Edwards will be joined by Jakub Urbanchik, who was actually banned from qualifying after accumulating various penalty points in the last round. Well, we've got about 26 seconds, Connery. First race here. How do you see this one going?
I'm hoping for a Peter Berryman podium. He hasn't got one this far this season, and well, starting from pole position here in race 1 is a good way of getting off on the right foot and being able to do so. We know how good he is. He just doesn't often get the opportunity to really shine and show it. Yeah,
be great for Pete to get himself a podium. He'll be wanting to win to really kick-start his season here. But we're all set then. 25 minutes of action here in the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. The engine revs rise, and we're a green flag. We're underway. Great launch from Pete Berryman on pole position. Through goes Garibaldi in second. Sebastian Job fighting through against Alex Davidson into third place. So your championship leader in Pro gets himself up into third. That's a good start. We've got a problem there. Problem for Gareth Higgins. He's off there at Campbell, and that's big drama for the Pro driver.
Yeah, able to not make contact with any car well, in the process of having that bit of a half spin. He's joined right at the very back of the field here at the moment, as we're seeing. Will Chadwick apply the pressure to the back of Alexander Davidson, who's fallen off the back of the leading trio somewhat in these early stages, and Chadwick's looking to try and pick him up in terms of a pass, but just not quite close enough to be able to make that one work. Battling in behind, though, Price and Halliburton.
Yeah, Halliburton's just dropped down the order a little bit at the start. We've got cars wide, both Davidson and Chadwick. Halliburton and Price are fighting. Here comes Matt Caruana through all of this, 3 wide into the club chicane. You can't all go through at once here, but they do. Bang, contact Halliburton. It's chaos at the club chicane. Massive accident here. Oh my goodness, we've got a road blockage.
Oh no, that could not have gone any worse for a lot of those drivers involved there. 3 wide into that section, trying to maintain the side-by-side into the chicane at the end of the lap. It's so tight through there. Halliburton banging doors with Charles Rainford, who tries to get his way through, and it caused absolute carnage behind.
I don't think I've ever seen a road blockage in this championship. That was unbelievable, but it was asking for trouble going 3 wide into the club chicane on lap 1 when your tyres aren't up to full temperature and pressure. Meanwhile, Tom Stevens fighting it out down your order, and he's just made his way past the RD Simsport car of Guy Edwards, so moving forward. But this has caused a bit of a gap throughout the field here, and the top 6 have broken away then from the rest. We'll have to have a look back at that one though, because really the carnage started on the exit of Church. Here we go, Connor.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Halliburton into the side of Rainford, spinning out across the apex, and there's pretty much nowhere for anyone to go in that situation. You're pretty much all funneled into the same piece of tarmac coming through there. Here's the view from up above. Side by side into the chicane, just not quite enough. Oh, sorry, excuse me, I'm in the wrong place a second. That was getting squeezed wide there. Then we get the 3 wide situation on the way in towards the club chicane. Becomes 2 wide. There's an opportunistic move down the inside there from Rainford, but biting off a little bit more than he can shoot. And the Halliburton on the inside. Yeah, I mean, there's not really that much you can do in that situation, and everyone just ends up being a passenger.
It's almost as if that the best result would have actually been for Halliburton to take to the escape road that there is there at the club chicane and saying, do you know what, I'll take the hit. Yes, on lap 1 it is a brutal slowdown penalty to take here in iRacing. Here's the view from Scott Mokes, and slows down, picks his way, but even then he gets clattered from behind. I tell you what, I think the stewards are going to have a look at that one post-event, because there was a number of cars not slowing down for an instant in front of them.
I mean, that would be, well, the most obvious case of a double yellow flag in the real world there. Here's Urban Schick started right at the very back of the field. Let's see how he tried to file his way through or not. Got a little bit of a slap to the driver's side there, but he was coming in there at the rate of knots. Yeah,
and it's things like that you... It's very difficult, and that's why I'm glad I'm not stewarding this series, because I would want to be the one to pick that incident apart. But almost 4.5 minutes gone in this race. Pete Berryman leads by just about 0.8 of a second over Leo Garibaldi. Sebastian Job not that far behind them. They're all going off into the grass there. They've got to be careful not to accumulate those instant points for going off of the track. There is no limit in session, but the stewards do look at the instant point accumulation post-event, and if you seem to be taking advantage, shall we say, then that's something that you'll be having to explain yourself to.
Yeah, you don't want to have that conversation, but for Chadwick, the driver that we're on board with right now, get the feeling he's feeling a little bit of pressure in terms of time here at the moment, because Davidson has fallen back off the leading three. I mean, a large portion of that happened in race number 1, and I get the feeling Chadwick is more on the pace of the front three, but it's just being held up by Davidson here at the moment. And the longer he spends behind, the bigger the task is when he does eventually get past. If he does eventually get past, it is to try and catch up back to those podium places. So time is of the essence right now for Chadwick to try and secure as many points as possible, as they all go so wide through there, dipping 2 tires into the grass.
I can tell you that from that big incident, Eric Grove, Kane Halliburton and Aidan Walsingham, who of course is fighting for an AM championship as Walsingham, all ended up on pit road. Halliburton has actually decided that, you know what, I'm done and I'm out of the session, so he's headed off. So potentially down to 27 cars for the second race of the afternoon. Worth pointing out as well, that final chicane, the club chicane, here on iRacing, you can cut it a lot more than you can in full metal racing. Motorsport UK, if they were adjudicating track limits, every driver would have received a penalty by now.
No one tell the other Paul, as things turn out there. But yeah, it's. I mean, we have to play with the system that we have in terms of how iRacing enforces the track limits versus how things are normally done in the real world. So because it's very difficult to police that sort of thing in this manually, at least in iRacing. So therefore, we just tend to rely on the automated system to handle that situation. We're running on board with Tom Stevens at the moment. P16 overall, over the back of Adam Cox as he closes up the gap on the brakes in towards the club chicane, but no opportunity to head his way through there. And a good cackle of cars further down the road as well. Could be nice to get involved with.
Yeah, it's led by Dylan Platt is all of that. So it's Platt, Merckx, Urban Chick, who, by the way, started at the back of the grid. We saw him forcefully make his way through that incident. But it's working out for him because he's, second place in AM right now as Urban Chick. Scott Merckx leading AM in this race, and he's under serious pressure from Jakob.
And Scott Merck's Porsche is not looking the tidiest. I mean, it looks fine from the front, but once it swings round to the very rear, it looks like someone's taken a baseball bat to that rear bumper. Yeah,
that's going to be needing to pay a visit to the Porsche-approved service centre and get sorted. Oh, Urban Chick running wide there, but trying to carry the speed by running wide there as they go through Brooklands, up the hill, into the club chicane. This is the move for the AM lead. Can Urban Chick slow it down? The answer's no. That's going to be a slow down penalty for Jakob, and he's got to serve that now. Scott Merckx will be there going, excuse me, you only got past me by cutting the chicane. I want that place back.
Yeah, but you can play a little bit of a trick here with trying to smooth out that time, that time penalty over the entire duration and try and lose as little time in one go as you can. But you can see Scott Merckx trying to go for it, trying to go side by side, shoulder towards the outside. Here comes a couple of cars down underneath. That's Adam Cox and Tom Stevens trying to work their way through. Here comes Guy Edwards with a run of speed in the purple car in the background as well. Contact between the two. Round goes Adam Cox out in towards the grass. It was contact with Merckx, but they're still continuing to have a little bit of a fracas.
I think there's a little bit of anger there from Scott Merckx about how Jakob Urbanchek has kept the AM lead, and quite frankly, I would agree for him being aggrieved. However, that contact though, it was asking things 2-3 wide in places. Here comes Guy Edwards. Remember, won AM in the first race last week at Snetterton. He's through now in that RD Sim Sport car, up into third place in AM. This is fantastic stuff from Guy. And now it's a case of whether he can get his head down and get onto the coattails of Tom Stevens and Jakob Urbanchek.
Yeah. I have to focus now. Still got 15 minutes left in this race. Plenty of time to try and catch up a gap. You can see like how aggressive Scott Mokes is being, despite what is now, you know, maybe not damaged just once, but damaged twice, depending on how much he picked up from that contact beforehand. Still able to at least have some semblance of pace here, but we're riding on board with Sam Fitzpatrick, who's been watching all of this happen ahead of him and thinking, well, I'm just going to try and pick up a couple of places here, because these guys are trying to get into each other physically. I might as well try and see if I can slip my way through, or try to capitalize on an alternative line that they're going to have to take.
The Beef and Dairy Network podcast sponsored Sam Fitzpatrick, who people might recognise him if we ever speak to him from his commentary work as well. So a fellow commentator competing here at the one of the highest levels in UK sim racing, and he's had a difficult time of it, has Sam, to be fair, but this is actually his best race so far, and he's pushing forward in all of this.
Oh yeah, it's a 25th, a 24th, a 19th, and a 24th for Fitzpatrick at the moment. But so this will be a significant improvement on what has gone before. Better late than never, I suppose, here at Thruxton. You know, trying to keep himself out of trouble now is probably going to be the aim of the game. Meanwhile, a little bit further up the fields, this is your leading grouping, shall I say. Peter Berryman trying to stretch his legs a little bit at the very front of the field. Sebastian Job looking to lock onto the back of Garrett Bollish. Big show of the nose down in towards Club, but that was never going to be a realistic move. It's just try to swoop the driver ahead by doing that.
Now, Sebastian Job, we saw some excellent racing yesterday in the Porsche Esports Super Cup at Mugello. Him and Diogo Pinto basically spent an entire lap side by side with each other. It was tremendous stuff to watch. And whether Sebastian could do that, but as I mentioned, Gariboli and Berryman, those two have been able to focus on this race and on this week, compared to Sebastian and Luke McEwen. So they potentially have that advantage of having more practice, but it just goes to show, Connery, just how adaptable Sebastian Job is in such a short time to get up to speed here.
That's definitely the case with all of the top-level drivers in the world, and Sebastian Job is certainly one of those here on sim racing. It's you throw him into any situation, quick to adapt, quick to get fast with it. No matter what discipline, even, you know, if I were to throw Sebastian Job on a rallycross circuit, he'll probably get up to speed pretty quickly and be one of the faster guys. But yeah, that adaptability is just so important, especially when in sim racing you might be doing, you know, Porsche 911 GT3 Cups on one race evening, then the next evening you might have some open wheel, the next evening you might have some other disciplines. So having that adaptability, being able to change so quickly and is so important when it comes to these sorts of events where you have to sort of be a multidisciplinarian in sim racing.
And let's not forget as well his work with Red Bull, with the Oracle Red Bull racing team in the simulator as well. So yeah, having to juggle all of that work plus his sim racing work and commitments as well, it does go to show the level that all of these top level athletes, and they are athletes. So if you've ever seen Sebastian's the series that Sebastian did with the Oracle Red Bull racing team on their YouTube channel over the winter, you would have seen that the level of fitness that Sebastian actually has is absolutely incredible, because you have to be physically fit to be able to cope with the mental fatigue that you have here. As a great run from Sebastian at the club chicane, but Gariboli defending in the right place.
This all comes from a poor run out of church for Gariboli. Sebastian Job able to draw himself alongside onto the brakes now. Can Sebastian Job get it done? He's going to be on the inside for the next part of the corner in towards Cobb, and he's just half a car length ahead, a full car length ahead. Gariboli trying to come back at him, but unsuccessful. Job up into second place now.
That does allow Pete Berryman, though, to pull away. With those two fighting it out, Pete has pulled away. 10 minutes remaining. 10.5 minutes remaining in this race. Remember, it's this first race is 25 minutes long, and then at the end of this one we have another 25-minute race. So do stick around if you are watching. on the Porsche Twitch channel or wherever you are watching this on the iRacing Esports network of channels. But definitely Garibaldi, he's not giving this one up without a fight. And we saw a couple of seasons ago, Connery, in fact it was yourself that was commentating on that, Leo Garibaldi winning the AM Championship. It's taken him a while to get acclimatized to the pro scene, but he's up there at the front now. He's challenging in pro.
Definitely one of the big success stories of this championship is Leo Garibaldi. I remember the first season he competed in and sort of thinking, well, he got a good couple of, one-off results, shall we say, and then, continued that progress into last year, and now this year as part of it being the pro season. Again, it's like he was always meant to be here, almost.
Our AM champion from last season, Luke Pennington's down in 19th at the moment, promoted to pro this season. AM is actually being led by Tom Stevens now. Jakob Urbanchek has dropped positions as we've been focusing elsewhere in this race. So Tom Stevens to the head of AM. It's got Dylan Platt between him and Jakob Urbanchek, and there's Guy Edwards, third place in AM, putting the pressure on Jakob now. So Tom's trying to make a breakaway here in AM. Is it a case of some drivers maybe looking after their tyres in the early going and then pushing on towards the end?
Possibly, but remember we had that big incident in roughly this part of the field on the end of lap number 1, so it could be that some of them are nursing a little bit of damage, but have continued on with the rest of the race rather than bringing it down on towards the pit lane. So that might be what we're seeing with some of the drivers being a little off pace, but we'll have to see if any of them admit to anything in the interviews a little bit later on.
Yeah, we'll have to hear from them later on. Conan Wern has gone onto pit road as well, so he's had drama out there. So another driver. It's been quite the car breaker as this one so far, this opening race of the day. Right, 8 minutes remaining. Pete Berryman leads by 1.5 seconds over Sebastian Job, with Leo Garibaldi in third place. And then you've got this continuing battle between Alexander Davidson and Will Chadwick. Now, those two have ever so slightly gained on Leo Garibaldi. Not the best run from Davidson through the club chicane, but Chadwick not able to take advantage of that. But here's the thing that's surprising me, Connery. Luke McEwen can't keep with these two.
No, not at all. About 1.1 seconds off the back of Chadwick at the moment, and that was even with Chadwick's poor run through the club chicane. So both Davidson and Chadwick sort of made a bit of a meal out of those final couple of corners there. But that's why Chadwick wasn't able to capitalize on Davidson, because he was busy having his own mistake over the curbs into there. But like you said, despite that though, Luke McEwen, seemingly sort of wanting it a bit more over the course of this race. Not the normal Luke McEwen we've seen over the first couple of rounds of this season. So that's going to be an intriguing one, and maybe we'll ask about it. Look at this going on back here, though. My word, this is all of a sudden sprung into action. Guy Edwards trying to get through on Scott Oakes, and he got Urbich. Through on Urbich, and he has. There we go.
Car flying off in the background onto the runway is Luke Pennington. Major instant in the background, a shot there. Tom Stevens still leads AM, but now Scott Merckx has been able to get ahead of both Guy Edwards and Jakob Urbanchek. We've seen Dylan Platt drop down the order on this lap as well. This is really feisty stuff here in AM, and they're not giving this up. Urbanchek's going to take it 3 wide into the club chicane, and I think a couple of drivers decided, you know what, I'm taking the sensible route out of this one.
It's not the first time Urbanchek has done that sort of move towards the club chicane either. He didn't get it stopped last time, but he got it stopped this time. Bang! Big shot as Pennington goes out in towards the grass there. That was a little bit of an interesting one. There's the slow car just unsighted. Wow.
I think that was the recovering Dylan Platt as well. He'd had issues at Campbell Cobb and Seagrave at the complex. So, yeah, that was a recovering car coming up against the car that was going flat out. And that's the thing. It is a private airfield, is this? So he can run down the runway and get back onto the track.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one, that's for sure. And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that runway's still active for like small general aviation movements as well. So yeah, I think the airfield team are going to have to try and see if there's any debris out onto the runway. You don't want the planes ingesting that bits of Porsche, shall we say. But look at this then. Scott Moak's going to be trying to defend from Sam Fitzpatrick around the outside, or at least looking to the outside. Looking to try and get that good run through the club corner, the club complex, shall we say. And Moak's getting the back end out a little bit. That'll be the momentum going the way of Fitzpatrick, but he's not being able to do anything to capitalize on it just yet.
Well, right now, as things stand, we're going to have a new AM winner here in this race, because Christian Zaruta's down in 21st. He was caught up in that opening lap incident. You've also got Guy Edwards. Oh, he's in 3rd, so don't write him off yet. And Aidan Walsingham, of course, on pit road for him. So we're pretty much going to get a new AM winner here in this one. Can Tom Stevens hold on? Well, he's got about a 3.5-second lead. Crofton Woodhatch has just made a move on Isaac Price. Price a little bit slow out there on track, so issues for the very experienced sim racer. And Price still at a standstill at the club chicane where these drivers are coming up to now.
Yeah, absolutely. Fitzpatrick, again, not quite close enough. Ooh, car in the grass. It's Isaac Price. What has happened to Isaac Price, number 99, coming up towards the club chicane? He was stationary for a good while, actually. So he was trying to lock onto the back of Charles Rainford. But I'm struggling to find. Let's have a look at the replay.
I think that's a hardware failure of some kind.
Oh.
I wonder if his screen has just gone completely black, and that's why he's gone straight on. Because usually, if it's a wheel failure, the car will dart off left.
Yeah. So we saw nothing of the sort, and he was stationary for a good minute or so before getting back going. So I think that's one of the conclusions that you can come to there, Paul, that with the screen issue. But he is back out there now, doesn't take the retirement, and, well, can't really afford to when it comes to points. So there we go. He is back out there, and on that single sort of ultra-wide screen here at the moment. And, yeah, I just wonder if he had an issue with it. It's just a shame we can't get replays off of webcams.
I want to point out, with 2.5 minutes remaining, currently the reverse grid pole will go to Charles Rainford, which would be a tremendous result for Charles in this one. I mean, he's only ever had one top 10 finish so far this season, a 9th place in the opening race last time out at Snetterton. 8th place currently, but he has got Crofton Woodhatch behind him, so we'll just have to keep an eye on the results here as to how they go. There's the two of them together, and Woodhatch, he can sense, he can sniff the opportunity of getting a pole position for race number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, the battle for that podium position with the reverse grid is always one that we're interested in watching over the course of the many seasons that this series has run so far. We might get the battle of it, like you say, with Crofton Woodhatch. Very, very competitive indeed. He took about a 1/10 of a second out of Rainford that last time by, but we do have battling going on a little bit further behind. Sam Fitzpatrick going for another little bit of an attempt over Scott Moakes here. He'll have the inside for the first part of the club chicane, this winding entry, but being on the inside means you can hug the apex there.
Yeah, as Fitzpatrick compromised through there, so too was Moakes, and, well, behind them, Adam Cox and Dylan Platt, both trying to work their way past these two as well. So still opportunities are plenty. We've got this about half a quarter of a lap, and then one more lap, because the leader's just coming up to the club chicane. So we're going to get one more lap after this one. So still opportunities for these drivers further down, but if I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, I'm thinking, please don't make any contact with me. I'm on for my best result of the season.
Yeah, but it's not exactly in his control at the moment. I mean, he can keep himself on the grey stuff as much as possible, but there's those racing around him sometimes that you have to be careful of. But we are on the final lap here. Pete Berryman leading by over 2 seconds. So looking like a very comfortable affair for Peter Berryman. Pole position, potential race 1 win as well. Well, can't get any better of a restart to the season than that.
Yeah, certainly not, as we keep focus on these 4 cars. Through the club chicane for the penultimate time for these. The drivers will see the white flag, and we'll see that it's 1 more lap remaining as they head through Allard then. And then through this left-hander into the Campbell Cobb Seagrave portion of the circuit. Really difficult braking zone because you're turning and braking at the same time. But here is Pete Berryman then into the club chicane for the final time. And what a way to restart his run in this championship. A race win here for Pete Berryman from pole position. Lights to flag. Great result for the Apex Racing Team driver.
Brilliant indeed, keeping himself out of trouble, which I think Berryman will admit is probably one of the things that has been hampering him over the last couple of years. But once he gets into clear air, once he's able to run his race, he's one of the quickest out there, and definitely proving that today after getting that fantastic start. He's taken the race win. And speaking of race win now, Tom Stevens.
Yeah. The great result for Tom to move through the field, gets himself across the line, 11th overall. He started 23rd on the grid. What a result for Tom, and what a result for a few of our drivers as well. Jakob Urbanchik is 2nd in AM ahead of Guy Edwards, 3rd in AM. So podium for those 3 drivers in AM here today. Rest of your drivers coming across the line to finish off the race. So once the last car crosses, which is Oliver Etheridge, we will take a look at your provisional race results then for round number 5 of the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. And it's Pete Berryman who wins by 3.1 seconds over Sebastian Job in 2nd place. Leo Garibaldi then a close 3rd place behind Job. Then a little bit of a gap back to Alex Davidson and Will Chadwick, who dropped off of the back of Davidson towards the end of the race. Luke McEwen, 6th place. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. Behind him was Matt Caruana, putting him under all sorts of pressure. Charles Rainford holds on to 8th place, which means that gives him pole position with a grid inversion for race number 2. Crofton Woodhatch and David Williams rounds out your top 10. Tom Stevens then is your leading AM, and he'll be delighted with that first win of the season in AM for Tom, ahead of Gareth Higgins, the pro. Jakob Urbanchik had a forceful and interesting race, to say the least, into 2nd place in AM ahead of Guy Edwards. Scott Merckx, 3rd place with significant damage to his car, able to hold on ahead of Sam Fitzpatrick. Adam Cox right behind them though, kept them close company with Dylan Platt, Isaac Price with his issues, Luke Pennington going flying off into the grass earlier in the race, Christian Zaruta, Daniel Cofield, Oliver Etheridge all caught up in that lap 1 skirmish along with Jacob Tofts. Conan Wern did not finish along with Aidan Walsingham, Kane Halliburton and Eric Grove. Pete Berryman, fastest lap as well for him. So basically the Grand Chelem here in this opening race. Pole position, fastest lap, led every lap and takes the win here. Well, the drivers, they've only got about 1.25 minutes left to get themselves ready for race number 2, Connery. It's quick, fast-paced stuff here.
Indeed it is, wouldn't have it any other way. Charles Rainford's pole position for this next race, and this is a particularly important race for Luke McEwen, I feel, because that race 1, is slightly off the pace compared to the rest of the leaders. I think I think that's probably the honest assessment. However, this is his opportunity now in a race 2 to try and get a very good result. Try and get disposed of Caruana and Rainford at the front and try to run away and allow and hope for Berryman, for Job, for Chadwick to run into issues with trying to get through the rest of the field. I mean, Luke McEwen has been very, very good at race number 2s, but he needs to continue on this performance, or at least that record, into today. Otherwise, know, Job then starts to sort of pull away the championship a little bit, and that's the last thing he wants.
Yeah, so Job, with that second place, gets himself a bucket full of points over his championship rival. Remember, it was 3 points coming into this round of the championship that separated McEwen and Job in Pro. 8 points separated your AM competitors of Zaruta and Walsingham. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in those championships at the end of this week. But the drivers, they've had their 3 minutes of warm-up. It's not a lot of time to get yourselves prepared, but they'll be heading to the grid, and we'll be getting ourselves set for race number 2 of the afternoon. And it's that top 8 inversion, which means that Charles Rainford starts on pole position. Matt Caruana, watch for his starts. He could potentially be one to get a good launch. With Luke McEwen, he'll be another one who'll be keen to get that good start, as Connery alluded to earlier. Will Chadwick alongside him on row number 2, with Alexander Davidson and Leo Gariboli on row number 3. Fourth row of the grid for Sebastian Job and race 1 winner Peter Berryman. And then it's starting where they finished. Crofton Woodhatch 9th, alongside him is David Williams, with Tom Stevens and Gareth Higgins then on row number 6. The 7th row of the grid, Jakob Urbanchik and Guy Edwards, they'll continue their fight in this race. Along then behind them, Scott Merckx and Sam Fitzpatrick, with Adam Cox and Dylan Platt on row number 9. The 10th row of the grid then for Isaac Price, with Luke Pennington, Chris Zaruta and Daniel Corfield, with Oliver Ettridge and Jacob Tofts. And the final few cars on the grid, Conan Wern and Aidan Walsingham, Kane Halliburton and Eric Grove rounds out your 28 cars. However, Halliburton will not be taking the race start. So we saw how competitive, shall we say, Connery, it was out there on the opening lap of the race. Are we hoping for a cleaner start on this one?
I certainly am, but if there's going to be one race where it's a bit more untidy on the first lap, it's going to be a reverse grid one. So let's see what happens here, and hopefully there's no carnage or track blockage coming out of the club complex at the end of the first lap this time around.
Daniel Corfield in the virtual paddock has even asked, please, can we be cleaner in race 2? So a few of the drivers making their feelings known here as well. Well, the drivers, they've had all the chance that they have to prepare. Now they'll get themselves set for this. Round number 6 of the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. Engine revs rise. And we are underway again, and a great launch from Zaruta and from McEwen. Terrible start from Rainford, who dropped 3 places, almost losing 4 places at the start there. And Gariboli, oh, he's contact. Rainford's been hit. He's around. Can everybody avoid him? No, they can't. There's others involved, and it's chaos once again at the start here at Thruxton. Oh, Zaruta.
A chain reaction.
No, that's Caruana, sorry.
Caruana. Yeah, Caruana. Oh, this is chaos here. Rainford getting just maybe the start overwhelming him from pole position. Just didn't quite get the biting point. Didn't quite get the launch. Got swamped from behind. It is so easy to have a chain reaction stem from that car around further back through the fields there as this car's off left, right, and centre. Who said to have a cleaner start? I think they might have jinxed it.
You would think that it was raining out there, wouldn't you, with the way that the cars are going off left, right, and centre? But Luke McEwen, he's at the front of the field. That's what is important for the Apex Racing Team driver. Behind him is Will Chadwick, who launches the car over the curb there. He's trying to get the good run out of the club chicane, and he's got an inside into our lads. But McEwen, he can hold it around the outside. Here comes Alexander Davidson in all of this. Oh, there's a squeeze there, almost contact between them. This is absolute chaos at the start of the race. Gariboli's getting involved in all of this, and Sebastian Job, sitting there in 5th right now, is thinking, I just want a clean race, guys.
It's like, what's all the panic? What's all the carnage about? I want to just sort of chill here for the moment. But Gariboli going from an ultra offensive dive to now having to try to defend from Sebastian Job, who's kept himself out of trouble here in the early goings. My, we're going to have to try and reset and try and figure out the order here because and figure out what happened to everyone, because it seemed like we had like 3 or 4 different incidents all happening pretty much simultaneously on that first lap, and it's jostled up the order by quite a significant amount. But as they get all strung out single file through Brooklands now in towards that club chicane at the very end of the lap, and again Chadwick just really massively optimistic with the first curb there, and oh, the carnage doesn't end here, folks.
That's number 72, Daniel Cofield, the driver who asked for a clean start. Behind him, Wern and Eric Grove have both been off at the club chicane as well through all of that incident. So good luck to our producer Hugo Luis, who's going to have to try and sort of work out what to look at replay-wise. But at the moment, Luke McEwen has a 0.2 of a second lead over Will Chadwick at the front, with Alexander Davidson in third place. Leo Gariboli is not that far behind them. Guy Edwards is your top AM right now, and he's got 3 pro car drivers between him and second place in AM, which is Adam Cox. Somebody's dropping down the order. It's Charles Rainford. It goes from bad to worse for your pole sitter.
Oh dear, and moves being made at the front, looking to be made at the front. I got ahead of myself there as Chadwick had a decent run through Brooklands and might even get a decent run out of club here as well. Luke McEwen trying to hold on to that first place. Sebastian Job looking to make a move in the background there, gets to the inside, does he, of Gariboli? Yes, he does, just right at the back, a shot there, but unable to try and get himself through. Ooh, defensive, very defensive from Gariboli into Campbell, and Joe smelled blood in the water there just for a moment, but again the gap wasn't opened up for him either side of the car.
As things carry on through Noble, this left-hander into Goodwood. Such a tricky course to get absolutely right. It's actually quite a wide track as well, to be fair, when it comes to national circuits here in the UK. But it's so fast. Right, let's try and break down what happened at the start. This is Charles Rainford. It was 3 wide. He gets a little tag from Davidson, tries to hold on to it, and then others, that was Scott Merckx, came flying into it. There was Urbanchik involved in all of that as well. A bit of avoidance from a couple of cars trying to avoid it all. I mean, he's come flying in when there's a car losing it. There's other cars going off as well around him. Tom Stevens, he's another one of those who gets involved in all of that. He was the one who got collected by Urbanchik there to the side. And then this is what happened down at the club chicane. Grove into the wall, his team compatriot then following him here off of the track. And where do you look in all of this, Connery, as we go looking at the live pictures in the bottom corner? This is what's happened to Rainford on that previous lap.
Yeah, and bang, right into the rear, right into the tyre wall. The worst place to hit a Porsche, given the amount of the equipment, the engine back there. Yeah, it's going to ruin things for sure. Back to the live pictures as you see. But surprisingly, despite all of the incidents that we've had here, Paul, they're all still stuck together. Here comes Chadwick on McEwen for the race lead into the latter end of the lap. Now
Chadwick, he has been a race winner so far this season. Last week at Snetterton in the rain. Doesn't get the run through the club chicane, so drops back a little bit from McEwen. McEwen just doesn't seem to be quite comfortable with this track, it seems, compared to some of the others. Chadwick is another one of those who's had very little time to practice, given that he was racing in the Porsche Esports Super Cup yesterday as well. Movement further down the field, David Williams losing out to Crofton Woodhatch, and that means that he's dropping down, and behind them Caruana's trying to make amends for what happened on lap 1.
Caruana through on Edwards, and Edwards compromised through there, loses another place to Price. Here comes another cut down the inside. That's Luke Pennington, the 74, completing the move. So Guy Edwards losing 3 spots in the space of just a short couple of moments there. That's just how things turn out sometimes if you're caught offline in the wrong place.
Here's Christian Zaruta then. Oh, now that... Well, that was an ambitious move, shall we say, down at the complex. Zaruta coming back onto the track. Hopefully he didn't do anything that he would then regret. But he's got a black flag as Zaruta, so he's going to have to serve a penalty. Car 2 has stopped out there, which is Zaruta, so I think he's decided that that's day done. That's Sam Fitzpatrick getting half-turned. Are we like, is this last day at school or something here, Connery? Because this is a bit crazy.
Yeah, it's you know, the average I rating in this lobby is in the, I would say, 6,000 to 7,000, if you would believe that. So yeah, it's a little bit out of character for these guys here at the moment. Here's this little battle pack. Here with Gareth Higgins, Woods Hatch, you got Williams and Caruana going side by side as well, 2 by 2 down through here. They all get themselves all lined up single file. Wood Hatch with a very, very good run here. Might have that opportunity open up as he draws himself alongside. How is Gareth Higgins going to defend this one in towards Club, especially with Caruana looking aggressive behind him?
Oh, nicely done there, down the inside. Beautiful move there. And thank you very much, Crofton Woodhatch, and away he goes then into 7th place. But you can see just the gap between them and the rest of the field of Berryman, Job, Davidson, Garibaldi. Garibaldi, by the way, has been closing up slowly to Will Chadwick and Luke McEwen at the front of the field. So that front 5 is getting closer and closer together here. And I just get the feeling, Connery, that Chadwick, with his attacks on McEwen, is just slowing down this field and bringing those others into this fight.
I mean, you can draw some parallels to race 1 here, where Chadwick is unable to get past Davidson, despite seemingly having a bit of a better race pace, but the pass just didn't materialize for him, and he'll get another run here on McEwen on the way down in towards Club. To the outside he goes. Can he commit this time around, or he's going to have to back out?
It's very difficult to make the move around the outside work, but that leads you then to having a good run through the Club chicane. We're on board with Garibaldi. Leo very calmly behind the wheel right now, looking good for a podium position here in this second race after getting the podium in the first race as well. Onto the brakes into Campbell, through Cobb and Seagrave. Now, I have seen moves in the past where you go around the outside of Campbell because it gives you the inside for Cobb, and then get the run out of there through Seagrave. So you can make moves around the outside into that complex, but you've got to set it up well. But right now, Chadwick is all over the back of McEwen. McEwen's doing a sterling job at the front to hold on to that lead.
Yeah, just no way through at the moment, and the longer this goes on, the more frustrating it's going to be as they head their way out of church now. You can see Chadwick trying to carry all the speed, using the grass to his advantage. A bit of a squeeze given by McEwen, contact between the two. Somehow they keep going. Another bit of a squeeze coming in towards the entry to Club Corner, but can McEwen hold on again? Chadwick has the inside, he has the apex, and where does McEwen go? Into the side of Chadwick, and there goes Garibaldi through to the race lead.
Unbelievable stuff. Leo Garibaldi sees the door open, wide open for him, and says, thank you very much, chaps. I'm coming through. McEwen's down to 3rd, and he's got his championship rival of Sebastian Job right alongside him, through Campbell, through Cobb, into Seagrave, and Job trying to get on the power. He's bumped from the inside by McEwen. Holt just tries to slot back in, but McEwen's teammate, race 1 winner Pete Berryman, is right there with him. My goodness, what a race at the front. Alex Davidson is rubbing his hands with glee in all of this.
Yeah, one of the big beneficiaries out of that, alongside Garibaldi, who just picked a line through the final corner. That was incredible. Just opened up for him on the inside as the two cars made contact. And now it's shuffled up this leading pack once again. Berryman looking to try to at least try to find a gap on the Red Bull Racing Esports car there of Sebastian Joe, but no opportunity arising through club that time around.
This is sensational stuff. Here's the replay then. The two of them get together. McEwen, yeah, it's difficult to leave a car's width there. He's then compromised, and Leo Garibaldi just says, thanks, chaps, I'm off. See you later.
Perfect place at the exact perfect time for Garibaldi. That line just naturally took him through the incident, and well, with how aggressive they were fighting, perhaps all planned as well. But yeah, 12 minutes and almost 30 seconds left to go in this race, and no ends to the excitement. This could still all change. Can Garibaldi hold on to the race lead? Can Davidson hold on to a well-deserved and well-gained second place with a couple of hard charges in behind?
Wow, let's just have a look then as things stand with 12 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. It is Leo Garibaldi, former AM champion, in the lead of this race, but he's got Alexander Davidson right behind him. Sebastian Jobs having a look at Luke McEwen, trying to get the run out the club chicane. That's beautifully done by Sebastian Job. Down the inside into Allard, and McEwen has no way of reacting to that immediately. But he can set him up then into the complex once again. They're side by side. These are the two Pro Championship leaders here, and Job chops off the nose of McEwen, and Pete Berryman, he doesn't know where to go in all of this, and bang, there goes Will Chadwick through on the inside. You don't need to ask the young man from Wigan twice to go through.
Thruxton Wood actually found himself on the back of this one as well, trying to give Berryman a bit of a run for his money here. Here's the onboard with him as he locks onto the rear end of that Porsche directly ahead. But is there going to be any opportunity at the moment? Well, right now you're going to have to wait until the exit of this corner, Church, try and give yourself a good run down in towards club. But Berryman's benefiting from the slipstream of those cars ahead, which makes this move a little bit more difficult for Woodhatch. A little bit of antsiness on the brakes there in amongst this entire train, unsure if someone's going to go for a lunge.
If you're Andy Shield and the whole outfit at WSR Esports, you're thinking, come on boys, get this up, we're on for a good one here. Alex Davidson, we mentioned he is quick. We've seen him get good results here last season in this championship. Could he get himself a race win by the end of this one? With the way that things have gone, Connery, I would write nothing off yet.
Yeah, potentially 10 minutes of we don't know what's going on the horizon here, as a good couple of drivers out of position. Of course, you have Will Chadwick trying to work his way back through. Luke McEwen, the early race lead. Oh, this is going to be interesting indeed. Absolutely. So you don't want to close that tab on the screen just yet, because this has potential to get very crazy, quickly, and perhaps even crazier than it already has been.
Well, Sebastian Job, he'll be happy with his performance here so far, because it's going to be potentially another podium for the young man from East Grinstead. I say the young man. Everyone's younger compared to me here on this grid. Looking further back, Jacob Toft's making moves up a position into 16th place. That was on Dylan Platt. For position further down. We've not mentioned them much in this second race, but AM is led currently by Guy Edwards in that RD Simsport car. There he is on screen right now. But Aidan Walsingham, what a recovery drive it is for him. DNF in the first race, second in AM, up 12 places from where he started in this race.
Yeah, fantastic mover throughout this field, helped somewhat by the incidents that we've had over the course of this race, but that's to take nothing away from him. It's been a fantastic event so far. on board with Walshingham at the moment, as he's running in himself a little bit of clear air here at the moment. Just gives him time just to set a consistent pace. Guy Edwards a little bit further down the road, 1.5 seconds is the margin between the two of them at the moment for the AM lead. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But look at this, just still this big long train of cars for positions inside of the top 10. Caruana really making himself known, at least inside the wing mirrors of Thruxton Woodhatch.
Matt Caruana, of course, who was the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain champion. So he knows what it takes to win a championship and perform well in this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. And Caruana trying to make amends for what happened at the start of this second race of the afternoon. So there you see him on the top of your screen with Thruxton Woodhatch, 7th and 8th place, with Isaac Price, again another hard charger in this field, up 10 places for Isaac, into 9th overall. A driver, Connery, that we've commentated on so many years.
So many years on so many different platforms and so many different championships. That's top season's off.
It was the slightest of touches through Goodwood, I believe it was, for Stevens. And once you get out in that grass nowadays, it's very difficult to then recover.
Yeah, it really is. Just stepping a foot out of the line there. There's the battle between Chadwick and McEwen has been raging on for the majority of this race. It previously was for the race lead, but since the carnage that we saw, it's become a battle for 4th place instead. A little bit further behind, you've got Thruxton Woodhatch and a bit of a, locked in behind Caruana, but ahead of a hard-charging Isaac Price, who has many other commitments in terms of sim racing over this period of the year, given that he's a competitor in the DTM Esports as well, and he's trying to do well there. Yeah,
certainly having to split between different simulations. Again, it shows adaptability in drivers, being able to work between the different sims. Will Chadwick putting the pressure on Luke McEwen right in front of him, and once again these two going absolutely hell for leather. They're going to go door handle to door handle. Is there going to be a bit of retribution from Chadwick? Will he hold on to that one? Forces McEwen to cross the inside of the corner. It's a slow down penalty for McEwen. And here comes Berryman through all of this. And the Apex Racing Team teammate goes past them both now. Oh, Chadwick, a little bit of a rub there. Oh, there's no love lost between McEwen and Chadwick right now.
Yeah, McEwen having to try and save that that slow down penalty as well, and actually might have been a bit cheeky about it, trying to serve it directly on the nose of Chadwick to be able to allow Peter Berryman through. That might have been played quite smartly.
I do think there's going to be a very busy steward's office post-event for this one, as Chadwick now trying to work his way past Caruana. If I'm one of these others who's right behind, they're going, no, Will, you go after Luke, and then I'll gain 2 places once again at the chicane, because that's the way things have gone so far in this second race of the afternoon. 5 minutes remain. Leo Gariboli still holding a half a second lead over Alexander Davidson at the front. Sebastian Job still third, but not really gaining too much on those in front. And that is a run out the chicane, but can McEwen hold the outside line? Contact once again, and Chadwick into Caruana. Massive accident. Oh, dearie me, this is going to rumble and rumble through the rest of the season, I feel.
No love lost. I think that was the only way, or one of the only ways that was going to end. They've made contact multiple times already this race, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back, as Chadwick was not going to give McEwen another opportunity to try and hold on to the position. Kind of let the incident happen, I just have to say, and it means that, we had an innocent bystander of Caruana hitting the Armco barrier at quite a rate of knots as well. Luke McEwen comes off the best in terms of that incident, but yeah, that was, you can see the signs of that happening all day long throughout this race.
Oh, that was coming. That was always coming, was that between those two. absolutely no love lost between the two of them, and I think the red mist has descended on both of those drivers. Here we go. Here's a look then through Allard. Chadwick's on the inside. He's run a little bit wide because of the contact with the curb. I mean, in Luke McEwen's defence, he is holding it all the way out to the outside there.
Yeah, you got to consider the history here. Chadwick wanted to run him hard, you know, because both of them have been running each other hard over the course of this race already. Those margins getting a little bit finer at this late stage in the race, not wanting to give up the inch because they've been giving up the inch this entire time and it hasn't worked out for them. So therefore, you want to get a bit more boisterous with it, and it just ends in those sorts of instances. Sometimes the stewards will have a look at it, of course, but Chadwick, I got to say, kind of let the incident happen there, kind of let that car wash out to the inside without doing too much about it. And he might get stung with a penalty for that situation, but I gotta say, it's been both of them trying to pull out all the tricks and all the maybe some of the various little moves as well. But you know, that big incident at the end is going to be the main talking point.
It has been a controversial round, I think it's fair to say here in all of this. Luke Pennington, we've barely mentioned him. He's up into 7th place in all of this as Garibaldi under attack for the race lead. We've got Alex Davidson, we've got Sebastian Job, and we've got 2.5 minutes remaining. Davidson to the inside, Job nowhere to go in all of that. Garibaldi now on the inside of the exit of the complex, and Job will get ahead, will he, of Alex Davidson, because it's a left-hander here through Noble. Oh, still together. Davidson allows space, and Job up into 2nd place, now going to be putting the pressure on Leo Garibaldi, and he knows that he can get past Garibaldi. That's a big mental factor here, Connery. He knows he can get past. Yeah,
but I mean, at least that situation with Job and Davidson, Job giving a little bit of a pinch there. It's so hard to hold it on the inside of some of these corners, especially the medium to high speed ones. The car just wanting to wash out just a little bit, and you gotta have to back out to maintain the control of the car. But this one certainly isn't done yet, folks. We do what, 1 minute 10 on our lap time. Yeah, absolutely. 1 minute 10 to lap time, 2 laps to go.
Yeah, Job, slow down penalty. So he's not going to be that close coming into the complex. He's trying to feather it, trying to work that slow down penalty and serve it, but he's still got it there at the moment. You can see Garibaldi just pulling away right now through the complex. That is hurting Sebastian Job's chance of a race win. We do reckon 2 laps then remaining in this one. Job, I think, could potentially lose the place to Davidson. He does. So Davidson goes through. Job finally serves that slow down penalty. But look at the gap now that Garibaldi's got at the front.
Yeah, Garibaldi having a comfortable buffer, 1.5 seconds, pretty much between himself and Alexander Davidson. That's what you like to see as you get into the back end of this race. It would be very, very well-deserved race win if he's able to bring it to the checkered flag here. A little bit of battle going on further behind Luke McEwen, just making sure he's secured ahead of Cofton Woodhatch here. He might not be done in terms of the racing here today as he comes onto towards the final lap.
Luke McEwen, of course, finished 6th in that first race. He's 5th right now. This is not a good day for him in the Pro Championship. We are on the final lap of the race. Leo Garibaldi with a 1.2 second lead over Alex Davidson, with Sebastian Job in 3rd place right now. Pete Berryman 4th, kind of sat on his own really in 4th place. Then it's this battle of McEwen and Woodhatch 5th, 6th, with Isaac Price 7th. David Williams 8th ahead of Gareth Higgins and Luke Pennington rounding out your top 10. Still in AM, it's Aidan Walsingham actually who's taken the lead in AM through all of this race. We've barely been able to mention them. What a recovery it will be for Aidan Walsingham if he can hold on to that lead. Here comes Sebastian Job and Alex Davidson, the run out of Church Corner, looking to the inside towards Club. He can't get it. Now he can. Nose to the inside. No. Davidson closing it off, but at the front, Leo Garibaldi is a race winner here in the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup, Great Britain.
P2, P3 so far this season. Finally, a P1 for Leo Garibaldi. You can see the grin on his face. He knew how hard he had to work for that. Put his car in the right place at the right time for the incident between Chadwick, for the incident involving Chadwick and McEwen, and then was able to hold on to the race lead despite all the pressure from behind. Well deserved.
And Aidan Walsingham, again, another, what a drive from him. 15 places gained, gets the AM win here today over Guy Edwards and Adam Cox. You wouldn't think that he'd just won the AM race with how he's looking, but he's giving it the full beans, and the donuts are happening out there for our drivers. And why not celebrate that? That was a race of attrition, but a race that you had to win. As we take a look then at your provisional, and I have a funny feeling these are very much going to be provisional results here for round number 6 of the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. Leo Garibaldi, there's no doubt about that. He takes the victory by 1.3 seconds over Alexander Davidson. A great second place for Alex in this race. Sebastian Job, third place in the end. Good points for him in his Pro Championship ahead of Peter Berryman. Luke McEwen with a hard-fought 5th place ahead of Crofton Woodhatch, just there by 0.3 of a second. Isaac Price then in 7th ahead of David Williams and Gareth Higgins, who only had a 10.5 between the two of them across the line. Luke Pennington rounding out your top 10. In 11th place then, it is your winning AM driver, Aidan Walsingham, who takes that one by over 4 seconds ahead of Guy Edwards in the end. Adam Cox, 3rd place in AM. It's 11th, 12th, 13th overall for them, ahead of a couple of pros, Dylan Platt and Jacob Tofts, with Daniel Cofield, Sam Fitzpatrick, Tom Stevens, Conor Wern, and Christian Zaruta, the recovering Zaruta, 3 laps down, did actually finish the race. And these drivers all did not finish. Will Chadwick and Matt Caruana with that huge accident on the exit of Allard. Then Charles Rainford, what could have been for the pole sitter here in this one. Eric Grove and Oliver Ettridge ahead of Jakob Urbanchik and Scott Merckx, with Kane Halliburton not taking the race start. Connery, how do we work all that out? Well, in a second we'll work it all out, because you've got our race winner.
Hello.
Leo, race winner. First one this season, hopefully more on the horizon. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season goes, but oh my word, that second race, man, that was quite something. Not only did he have to put the car in the right place at the right time for the incident between McEwen and Chadwick, but also you had to defend from a hard-charging Sebastian Job at the very end too. Just take me through that race, because it must have been just a blur for you.
Yeah, thank you. It was very hard. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be as much of a brawl as it was. I mean, in testing, it felt like it was very single file, so that was quite a scrap at the end. I can't lie, I almost bottled that so hard on the second race, because this chicane sucks. You go into it and it's complete RNG. Sometimes you can go over it and you have perfect traction, and sometimes you hit a landmine, and that's what happened, like, I think 4 laps ago. So I just had to kind of just defend as hard as possible, and I think they got slowdowns behind me, so that kind of saved me there.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been a very interesting affair coming into that final chicane at the end of the final lap if Job didn't have to try and serve that slowdown. But yeah, overall, you know, including race 1, you know, with the situation they had in race 2 as well, how would you rate your performance today? Because it seemed like you're definitely quite on it today, and it sounds very positive for the rest of your season if you can have more results like that.
It was good. I was confident anyway, because most of the front runners were doing PESC yesterday, so I knew most of them didn't really have as much prep going into this. So as long as me and my teammate, so Pete, as long as we had really good prep into this round, we knew we can get something out of it, and basically straight away we had a 1-2. So it was hard in the first race. I mean, honestly, the only thing that makes or break the lap with this is just that chicane, and I think that's what caught me. And not only when it caught me, but Sebi seemed to have the best chicane of his life, so there was really nothing I could do there. But I think otherwise that was kind of where I was hoping to be there, so that was good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always great seeing you out there and seeing you putting in the hard yards, shall we say, to try and promote yourself up the championship order. So, what are you thinking about the next events? Because we got Alton Park coming up, don't we? It's going to be an interesting one. So, are you hot, cold at that track? What's going on?
I've never really been that good at it. That's usually where it starts to decline for me on that track specifically. So I'm hoping maybe there's a bit of rain that can maybe save me with that. So we'll see with that one.
Yeah, we had no weather affecting today's race at Thruxton. There's always that looming threat, isn't there? But unless there's anything else you want to say, we'll wish you a great time in your future couple of races, and then hopefully we'll get to see you on the podium another time. You've got 3 so far.
Yeah, thank you very much. But thanks for the team for the support with all of this, and to my teammates trying to help me with everything. It's taken 2 years, but I finally got a race win, so let's go. Hopefully there's more.
You got there. You've always been so close. We're getting seconds and thirds, but yeah, the race win finally in the bag. Thank you very much, Leo.
Thank you.
There we go. That was Leo Garibaldi there, Paul. Very, very happy. Very happy. Of course, with our situation here at the moment, I mean, Leo Garibaldi taking the pro race win in this second race, and we're just waiting for. There we go. We get Sebastian and Job into the commentary booth here as well. Sebastian, that was a very, very interesting, not only second race, but actually the first race as well was intriguing for you. Of course, you come off the back of PESC participation, which it was always tricky when these races happen on the same weekend, right? So what's the deal there? Did you have enough time to prepare for today's race?
No, it's a really hard track to drive. I went into quali panicking a little bit because everyone was so much quicker than me in practice. I think I just, for some reason, I'm not quite there in quali here. But my race pace was really good, so I was a bit surprised in race 1 when I was keeping up, and I actually felt I was being held up a little bit. But it's hard to say for sure until you get the clean air. But luckily, Leo made a mistake on the lap where I nailed the chicane, got a good run, and that was that. But then race 2 was just absolute chaos. I'm pretty happy to come out with third. I should have really got second, because once I got ahead of into second, I thought coming up for the last laps, I'm just going to risk it all because I want the win, and I know I've got third as a backup because there was a gap to fourth. So I risked it in the final chicane and got a slowdown penalty, which I hoped wouldn't happen, but I was happy with the consequence if I didn't. So yeah, got the slowdown penalty and fell back to third, but I was willing to take that risk for the chance of winning the race, and unfortunately this time it just didn't pay off.
Speaking of taking the risk, I mean, we heard Leo just a couple of moments ago say that final chicane is a bit of a roll of the dice, shall we say. You never know if you're going to hit a bump or if you're going to, not have traction coming out of there. Is that what you were finding as well? Was the car not exactly stable, at least consistently coming through there, especially with the fixed setup that you guys have to run?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. You basically because the time between the curbs is so little, the car is still kind of rebounding when you hit the next curb. So then the splitter might be lower than on another lap, and you bottom out worse than you did on the previous lap. So it's very hard to get it right every time. Hence why you see so many mistakes. But it made for an exciting battle. Yeah, and then there's also the track limits where you can quite easily get a slowdown penalty on the left. Well, I say quite easy. You have to cut a lot, but when you know that you can cut a lot, you go as close to the slowdown as possible, and if you don't get close to it, then you lose a lot of time. So it's really important that you take that risk, and just sometimes you end up getting a slowdown penalty and have to back off a bit.
Yeah, last thing, Sebastian, as this, the opening rounds this season, we've got out of the way now. How do you assess the current state of the championship, especially coming out of today's races? Because yes, it wasn't the typical P1, P2 for you, at least this weekend, but it seems like your closest competitors had an even worse weekend. So I don't think that much changes in terms of the points. But do you see anyone else trying to come through towards the middle and end of the championship, or do you think it's going to be sort of you, McEwen, and Chadwick?
it's tough to say. I think this was a bit of a weird one because, like you said at the start, the PESC yesterday meant that our practice was very limited, and this is a very hard track with a lot of practice, let alone with not much. So I knew that today was purely damage limitation. And luckily for me, that's gone very well. But I think for the other drivers that were doing PESC, it's gone a lot worse. So I've come off a bit better there, which will give me a bit of breathing room in the championship. If there's going to be anyone else contending, I don't know. Leo seems to be getting quicker and quicker every round. Last year, I think he had the pace, but he just wasn't really nailing it under pressure, if I understand right. But now he seems to be much more on it. So I've not seen the points, but he seems to be looking pretty quick. And also Pete was definitely, I think, the quickest on track today. He just was quickest in race 1, and race 2 he made up pretty good progress as well. So yeah, it's quite tricky to say, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it just gives us a lot to look forward to in the next couple of rounds as we get into the season. But thank you very much for joining us, Sebastian. I'll let you get back to whatever you're doing with your the rest of your Sunday afternoon, and we'll get a conversation with another driver.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, there we go. So that was Sebastian Job there joining us for an interview, and we do have another driver. We got Aidan Walshingham from the AM department, shall we say, taking the race win in that category for this second race. Aidan, how was that? Because, I mean, we saw at the start of that second race, well, really at the start of both races, but at the start of the second race in particular, a lot of carnage happening left, right, and centre. How did you pick your way through it?
A lot of patience and driving cautiously. The goal in my head was just to recover as many points as I could, you know, being caught out in the major incident in the first race. Yeah, wasn't ideal. So yeah, second race took it really safe, really cautiously, gave everybody lots of space, and let all the incidents happen. And it worked out for me. And as soon as I managed to get some clean air, looked like I had quite the pace advantage on the rest of the AMs, so just again patiently worked my way through. People would make a mistake, capitalised on that, and didn't really do anything too risky. Just kept my head down and somehow recovered from last to first in class.
Yeah, it was a mega effort, and you are to be commended for that. With this result, it does mean that you equal Christian Zruter's record of 2 wins in the AM category, and it's your best overall finish in the season as well. Do you think that's a sign of things to come, especially with trying to put your best foot forward, shall we say, in terms of the AM championship?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'd have hoped to have gotten the win in the first round today as well, with getting pole and showing, you know, a bit of an advantage again. But it definitely sets the tone for the rest of the championship that I'm competitive, and I reckon I can wrap this one up if I drive consistently enough.
Yeah, it's all about that consistency, isn't it? It's one thing being fast, it's another thing being fast, you know, playing fast every single weekend. But thank you very much for joining us, Aidan. We'll let you get back to whatever you're doing this Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you again, at least on the podium, if not more race wins in the next couple of races.
Thank you. Take care.
There we go. That was Aidan Walshingham there, enjoying his race 2 win.
And he's just got a couple of weeks to wait until we head to Cheshire for Alton Park on the Island circuit for round 7 and 8 of the series. And certainly it's going to be an intriguing round, difficult to overtake around there at Alton Park. So qualifying is going to be a big factor in that one. So make sure you join us in 2 weeks' time for that. But I'm afraid that is all that we've got time for here today. Thank you so much to Connery Maddock for joining me here on commentary for this round, covering for David whilst he's out in Dubai. We'll be back 2 weeks' time. Make sure you join us on the Porsche channel next week, though, on Saturday, for the 3rd week of the Porsche Esports Super Cup. But from everybody here at the Rafa Racing Club, Porsche Esports Carrera Cup, Great Britain, we'll see you in 2 weeks.